Hey, Brian Miller here, author, speaker, magician, podcast host, and audio nerd. Hey, Brian Miller here, author, speaker, magician, podcast host, and audio nerd. Have you ever just dreamed of doing acoustic treatment in your home studio or podcast space or YouTube space, content creation space, but you just weren't sure if the sometimes pricey investment was going to be worth it in the end? Well, I've always had the same dream, and I didn't do anything about it until 2 months ago. I finally decided to treat this new studio that I'm in right now. So I teamed up with the folks at GIK Acoustics. They're one of the leaders in sound absorption, mostly for professional studios, but they're creeping into the area of podcasting and home studios and project studios. And so they helped me design an 11-piece acoustic treatment setup for this studio, and I did a massive amount of before and after tests for you so you can hear what every different type of thing would sound like, from talking headshots like this, vlogging for YouTube, solo podcasting, interview podcasting, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, heavy overdrive guitar, singer-songwriter, dynamic microphones, condenser microphones, omnidirectional lav mics, all the different things. Hey, my name's Brian Miller. I'm a former professional magician turned author, speaker, consultant, coach, podcast host. I keep myself very, very busy. Basically, every aspect of my work these days involves some type of content creation. There's lots of different things that I need my home studio for, and that's why I really, after all these years, decided I had to do some acoustic treatment, because I've been in home studios before where it had hardwood, and I put down a rug, but there was nothing much on the walls, and there was echo, and the sound was just, it bounced off of everything, and getting clean audio was so important to me. But it wasn't just important to me that I get clean audio. It also had to look really kind of sexy. Like, it had to look nice. It had to match my branding. So the beauty of GIK Acoustics is that they don't just have phenomenal absorption, diffusion, scatter, bass traps. They also have all these fully customizable options for dozens of colors, lots of different veneers, different patterns. So I was able to do things like, this purple fabric with these bubbles, with the gray veneer, like really make it look exactly like I wanted it to, so that not only does all my content sound amazing, but whenever I'm doing anything visual, it also looks amazing and fits tonally and aesthetically with my brand. You can check out everything from GIK Acoustics in the description below, and use their 3D visualization planner on their website to design your exact room, and they will give you suggestions and help you along the way of understanding all your different options for your budget, for your project. Okay, enough chatting. I know what you're here for is the before and after samples, so here's the only thing I'm going to say before you listen to them. First, make sure you have headphones on. Ideally, over-ear headphones, not earbuds. You want to be in a quiet environment. You want to be able to really listen carefully to the difference, because if you're just listening on your phone speakers, your computer speakers, you will not be able to hear a difference. And trust me, there's a difference, and it's massive. What you're listening for are two major things. In this room, before it was treated, there was a huge amount of bass buildup. What I mean by that is the room was super boomy, it was super muddy, there was a ton of low end, and the reason is that I put carpeting into this room before we moved into the house. This had hardwood floors, and I carpeted the whole room. I did that for two primary reasons. One, for comfort. This is my home studio. I'm self-employed. I'm in here 10 to 12 hours a day. I wanted it to be comfortable, especially in the cold Connecticut winters. But the second reason, the major reason, was I wanted to kill a bunch of the echo, because one of the biggest problems I've had in previous rooms and previous studios and home offices is hardwood floors that just bounce the echo all around the room. And so by carpeting the room, I was able to kill one massive source of echo. The problem, and I knew this before I did it, because I planned on doing acoustic treatment in here, if you carpet the entire floor, carpet absorbs mid-range and high-range frequencies, but it doesn't absorb almost any low-range frequencies. And so what happens is when you carpet a room, what it does is it sucks up all of that high-range frequencies, but it doesn't suck up any of the low range. That led to a huge amount of bass buildup, a very muddy, boomy room that I had to fix with EQ for the first 6 or 7 months of being in this space. A huge goal of doing the acoustic treatment in here was to balance out the high range frequencies that we had sucked out of the room by sucking out tons of low range frequencies. So, 1, you're listening for the difference in bass buildup, and 2, you're listening for the difference in echo. Hey, Brian Miller here, and welcome back to One New Person, the show where we take a closer look at chance encounters to remind ourselves that every interaction is meaningful and every person we meet is important. Hey, Brian Miller here, and welcome back to One New Person, the show where we take a closer look at chance encounters to remind ourselves that every interaction is meaningful and every person we meet is important. Hey, Brian Miller here, and welcome back to One New Person, the show where we take a closer look at chance encounters to remind ourselves that every interaction is meaningful and every person we meet is important. Hey, Brian Miller here, and welcome back to One New Person, the show where we take a closer look at chance encounters to remind ourselves that every interaction is meaningful and every person we meet is important. Hey, Brian Miller here, author, speaker, magician, podcast host, and audio nerd. And welcome to Audio for Content Creators, where we help you sound better and level up for all your content creation needs. Hey, Brian Miller here, author, speaker, magician, podcast host, and audio nerd. And welcome to Audio for Content Creators, where we help you sound better and level up for all your content creation needs. Hey, Brian Miller here, author, speaker, magician, podcast host, and audio nerd. And welcome to Audio for Content Creators, where we help you sound better and level up for all your content creation needs. Hey, Brian Miller here, author, speaker, magician, podcast host, and audio nerd. And welcome to Audio for Content Creators, where we help you sound better and level up for all your content creation needs. The more people I communicated with, the more I realized our world is a shared experience. But it's fractured by individual perspectives. You have a perspective which is different from your neighbor's, which is different from mine. The more people I communicated with, the more I realized our world is a shared experience. But it's fractured by individual perspectives. You have a perspective which is different from your neighbor's, which is different from mine.
Time could pass us by. The fates don't care. Well, that the seasons change. I want to drown anyway. Yes, I will drown under the weight of our hopeless burn. If time could pass us by, the fates don't care that the seasons change. I want to drown anyway. You've got those green candy eyes. For all of these years, I've I've kissed away your tears. You've got those green candy eyes. For all of these years, I've kissed away your tears.
Have it on lock, so you have to go with me.
Are you suggesting that I'm hard to pin down?
Yep. Even our friends have to schedule you in, so.
That's true. We did schedule some time with our friends.
We did.
Though.
It was like a month in the making, so.
Yeah. Which is actually a pretty short lead time, all things in our lives, or at least in mine, all things considered. So apart from Baby Yoda, is there anything that you actually like about The Mandalorian? No spoilers. Not that there's anything to spoil. Nothing's happened.
I thought it was good for the one episode where they ended up showing a flashback to his childhood, but then they didn't follow through with that because I thought they were going to flesh out his background, and then they didn't follow through. So that was a little
You know you're married to a therapist when their one complaint is not enough fleshed out.
I want to hear about their childhood trauma. Why is he the way he is? Why will have it on lock, so you have to go with me.
Are you suggesting that I'm hard to pin down?
Yep. Even our friends have to schedule you in, so.
That's true. We did schedule some time with our friends.
We did.
Though.
It was like a month in the making, so.
Yeah. Which is actually a pretty short lead time, all things in our lives, or at least in mine, all things considered. So apart from Baby Yoda, is there anything that you actually like about The Mandalorian? No spoilers. Not that there's anything to spoil. Nothing's happened.
I thought it was good for the one episode where they ended up showing a flashback to his childhood, but then they didn't follow through with that because I thought they were going to flesh out his background, and then they didn't follow through. So that was a little
You know you're married to a therapist when their one complaint is not enough fleshed out.
I want to hear about their childhood trauma. Why is he the way he is? Why will
huge difference, right? Can you believe the difference in those samples? It's obviously, it's really, really identifiable when it's spoken word, narration, podcast, especially when it's a two-person podcast. You can really hear the difference. There's a lot less crosstalk and bleed between the microphones. The omnidirectional mics don't suffer nearly as much as they used to in this room. Likewise, condenser mics, which are highly, highly sensitive, and most podcasters working at home should stay away from because of echo. I can use condenser microphones in this room again, which is amazing. You probably noticed a difference on the acoustic guitar. It was a much clearer sound. It was a much more forward sound. Same thing with the drive vocals, much more forward, much clearer. You probably didn't notice too much of a difference with the electric guitar or the heavy overdrive because that thing is, the amp is so loud and it's being close mic'd, right? The mic is like 1 inch away from the grill. But even still, there's more clarity because there's a lot less low end buildup, especially for the overdrive. So I hope this was helpful. If you haven't checked out part 1 and 2, go ahead and check that in the description. If you are enjoying these videos and videos like these, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and if you're really into audio, I have a whole new channel dedicated just for audio. It's called Audio for Content Creators, where we're doing tutorials and gear reviews on all things audio and related for content creation. Brand new channel. It's very small right now, only a couple of videos, but I'm going to be building that out over the next year. So head over there, check that out. Everything's in the description. Check out GIK Acoustics. One more shout out to those guys who just did a killer job helping me design this room. And for somebody who is not handy, getting it off the ground really, really effortlessly. So all right, that's it for me. Thanks so much for tuning in, sticking with me, and always remember that our world is a shared experience.